folks, today. Thanks for tuning in. This is Joe, joined by Kyle. Today, we're going to kind of get into a recap of the recent Psychedelic Science event in Oakland, California. Psychedelic Science 17, put on by MAPS. Super fun event. Really happy we all went. Kyle is now afflicted but recovering after not much sleep and a lot of volunteering. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, I'm a little nasally today and getting over a cold of some sort.
So we'll keep it kind of short, maybe about a half an hour, and do a little bit of review because some of you asked for it because you couldn't be there, and we'll try to be your eyes and ears. Before we get rolling, just want to kind of get into a couple things. We've got a bunch of events on the horizon. May 3rd, we've got a psychedelic integration webinar for free. You can get that off of our Facebook page under events. Or if you need info, just email us, psychedelicstoday@gmail.com. We'll send you the info you need. We got a bunch of breathwork workshops going on here in Breckenridge. We've got May 21, June 4, July 8, and August 6 here in Breckenridge, Colorado. There's also, I think it was June 29 weekend in Lyons, Colorado, which is a little north of Boulder, which if you're in the Front Range of Colorado, you should totally check that out. It's going to be right up your alley. And Kyle, what do you have coming up?
I'm doing a transpersonal breathwork workshop for Ben, which is the Boston Entheogenic Network. That's on June 10th from 4 to 6. I'm not 100% sure if it's just closed off to the Ben network, but if you're interested, reach out and I can give you the event invite. It's about a $25 donation.
Cool.
To cover expenses, and I think part of it goes to Ben.
And what do you have going on with the Gibsons at Dream Shadow?
So I'm going up to the Gibsons on May 19th to 21st. I'm going to be helping them out with their breathwork workshop. It's a weekend long in Paulet, Vermont. I think that one might be booked, but if you're interested, there is a wait list and people do cancel last minute. So it's always worth to get on that wait list. I think last time they said 5 people bailed. People get sick last minute and things happen. So it's good, always good to get on the wait list. And then I think that's it for now. I'm going to be in Vermont and kind of that Massachusetts area from the end of May to beginning of June. And so I'm hoping to plan some events here and there. I haven't got around to doing it because of psych science, and then I'm finishing up my semester. So planning hasn't been the greatest right now.
I hear that.
But if you are listening and you're from the northern New Jersey area, I've been thinking about trying to get a meetup going, or trying to get maybe an online meetup to discuss. So if you're interested and you live in northern New Jersey, reach out and let me know. Cool.
And I might be in the greater Toronto region this summer as well, for work, and been communicating with Bradley Foster, who helps run I think he might have even founded it, the Psychedelic Society of Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, that was a hard T at the end there, Toronto. It's like a silent T. And so I might actually even get to meet up with James Jesso, who's out of Waterloo, Kitchener area. And that'll be really fun, and look forward to connecting with some of the Canadian tribe, see what you guys are up to. So I think that's it for announcements, and let's dig in, Kyle. So you showed up before me. You had kind of a nice day. You get to see the ocean for a little bit. I didn't see the real ocean the whole time. I just stayed in the bay, mostly in Oakland. But how was it for you?
Yeah, my friend Michelle picked me up and took me down to Pacifica, and we hung out by the beach for a little bit, went on a nice walk. So it was nice to get grounded and kind of connect with that before the weekend started. But the first day was awesome. I picked up my badge and then met some folks. And while I was waiting for you to come in, I met up with Alyssa, who's been editing some of our blogs, and met some of her crew, some of the Boulder folks and the Denver crew. And I met this guy, Tom Lane, I believe. That's his name. And he's coming out with a book on mushrooms. Let me just pull out the flyer real quick. Yeah, so he's got a book coming out called Sacred Mushroom Rituals. And I was chatting with him a bit in the just like the check-in lounge, and he was telling me a little bit about his story and how he went down to Central America, and he was telling me that he spent some time with Maria Sabina, which I thought was really, really cool. Yeah,
I didn't know you got his name. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I hopefully we can connect with him at some point. It sounded really interesting that he did work with Maria Sabina. I mean, that'd be really interesting to dive into some of his work.
Absolutely. And Kat Harrison, who I think we'll get on the show, has also been in touch with that group. I don't know if she's met Maria, but I know she does a lot of work down there seasonally. Anthropological kind of research, ethnobotanical stuff too. So he was one of the first guys you ran into?
Yeah, he just sat down and started chatting with me. And I just asked him what brought him here. And he said that one of his flyers was in the swag bag that Maps was giving out. And I opened it up and I was like, whoa, that's really, really cool.
Yeah, so he showed up later. We were out smoking some funny herbs outside, and he shows up and just starts laying this rap on us about light and how insects work with light, and some other stuff about really fascinating material science related to solar. And it was like such a enormous info dump in like 10 minutes. It was like shocking, but it was super cool. I loved it.
Yeah, he does something with solar energy. He's a acclaimed solar energy trainer. Not too sure what that means.
Cool. You found his website?
Yeah, his website is www.thesolarwolf.com.
Nice.
And it looks like it says his book includes personal written correspondence as well as a visit and meeting at the home of R. Gordon Watson in 1986. That's pretty cool. Yeah, it seems like he met Watson. He was doing some work with Maria Sabina, so I'm really excited to catch up with him and hopefully get him on the show to talk more about his book. His book isn't out yet, so he said it's in the works, and it should be available in August, or at least that's what it says on the pamphlet, August 2017.
That's outstanding.
Yeah.
Got to meet tons of folks, man. I couldn't believe it. Like I get dropped off by my Lyft, and kind of right in front of the hotel. So I had to walk a little bit to get back to ours. And all of a sudden I see Neil Goldsmith hanging out in like this crazy Moroccan style outdoor smoking lounge that they had set up. Super trippy, couches out in the middle of like the street. It's like, what the hell? Awesome. It's like, I'm in the right place. And I got back as soon as I could after relaxing for a minute. And just started talking with people right away. As soon as they announced that just about everything was going to be on YouTube, I said, okay, this is going to be a very different experience. I'm just going to be talking to everybody the whole time. And you and I had the same issue. We just like kept losing our voices by the end of the day from way too much talking.
Yeah, exactly. Did you see any talks?
Mostly at the symposia stage. I snuck into one related to like anxiety during MDMA sessions related to the outcomes. And that was really interesting. Like regardless of dose, like the level of anxiety, if you kept anxiety low during the session, typically you had better outcomes. It wasn't like, it was noticeable, like 20% difference, like plus, but I don't want to cite anything there. We gotta take a look for the talk online on YouTube if you're interested in that one.
Do you remember who was giving that one?
Not a chance. I wish that was a cool one. I got into some peyote. There was like a peyote track. I don't know if you saw that, but people talking about cultural issues and kind of the existing culture and battles they're fighting in Mexico and the southern U.S. Ritual sites getting kind of pushed out by oil development and real estate development. The language is always tough. Like they talked about how Canadians and Americans are pushing them out of their homes for vacation access, and I'm like, I get it. Market forces are difficult, but the blame game's tough to play. As soon as you start playing that, your argumentation becomes a lot more tricky.
Yeah.
Then there was some stuff about greenhouse cultivation not being great for peyote. And by relying on greenhouse cultivation of peyote, you're spending less time improving the native habitat for peyote using kind of native techniques. So that was an interesting debate. I think there's a more enlightened middle ground than that. Like, keep the greenhouses and do the work somehow. Like, figure out how to fund it. Maybe you got to raise the prices on peyote, and then then you can spend more time doing rehab of the habitat. Yeah.
So they were talking about how greenhouse grown peyote is different.
No, just how it's not part of the tradition.
Oh, okay.
Like they wanted it to all be part of the tradition, and also at the same time preserve habitat, because habitat's going away. Like peyote numbers are down, just like Bufo alvarius for 5-MeO. It's going downhill. So, let's do what we can to preserve the habitat. And there was an interesting talk by I don't remember the guy's name either, but he started the Bufo alvarius Foundation, where they're getting a whole bunch of land where it's the densest population of the Bufo toad. Well, Bufo is the family, alvarius is the species, I guess.
Right.
It's that densest population area, and they were able to buy all of it for pretty cheap. And they're keeping the location secret, thankfully. But that'll be really neat. And
kind of for like a toad sanctuary.
Exactly that, yeah. So no harvesting of toads. They'll be able to get a really good stronghold and hopefully radiate out from that reserve. The interesting discussion from that came out of the difference between toad-derived 5-MeO DMT and synthetic 5-MeO DMT. There's all sorts of secondary compounds in the toad,
right?
That give it a lot of different characteristics you're not going to get from a pure extract.
That makes sense. Synthetic. I guess that kind of goes back to like the entourage effect. I mean,
absolutely, entourage effect in cannabis, and ayahuasca with various plant mixtures added in versus straight up eating the pills with the extract of the major compounds. Very different experience with the full thing, and psilocybin versus an actual mushroom,
right?
Even psilocin. But if it depends on what you're trying to treat, right? On what you're going after, and for the most part, 5-MeO DMT, they said is just fine for treating what they're trying to treat. It's not. It's it's a different thing when you have all the other compounds, but it's very fine for treating whatever kind of trauma or addiction they're working on. So
right.
It's fascinating too.
Do you know if there were any talks on 5-MeO?
Yeah, a handful. This is one of them.
Oh, cool.
It was like a whole table. It's one of the more interesting things, and something I caught from Cherie, the psychedelic integration coach out of LA, was that Stan Groff said on stage in front of everybody, 5-MeO DMT is the future of psychotherapy. And in some interesting ways, that's true and false. Some people online, like was it Peter Gorman or Richard? Somebody got involved in that thread on Facebook and said that's inaccurate. But I was like, well, in a center setting, you only occupy 45 minutes to an hour of that therapist's time, and then they can go out to the center to do integration, prep, and relaxation before they integrate back into the real world. It's not just necessarily couch therapy. It can't, like, that's what's not possible. But in a more integrated, holistic setting, I think it's totally possible to make 5-MeO DMT integrated into the psychiatry. Right. What's your opinion on that?
I don't know. I've never had an experience with it, and I know that some Ibogaine retreat centers are pairing it up, and I don't know. I was really curious. I think I asked Cherie that during one of our integration lunches, and I really wish I was there to hear Stan say that, because that really just like drew some curiosity out of me of like what he meant by that. Like, kind of wanted to dig in a little deeper. Yeah. So
yeah, just
I wasn't there for the talk. I missed it.
It'll be on YouTube.
Yeah, I was in one of Stan's talks for like, I don't know, like the end of it, and then they switched over, and then he was doing like his hour-long talk, and then I forget. I just ended up, I think I was hanging out with Paul Austin a little bit and just bailed.
Right. Yeah, like that was part of the problem, but also a good problem to have, because you knew you were going to be able to get this stuff later.
Yeah.
And the conference now has turned into a months long event as a result. So,
right.
So like that gives you and I content to talk about. We can watch a couple talks and then record a podcast on it, and add hopefully some depth to the conversation.
Yeah, that'd be great. I was trying to watch a little bit of Gabor Mate's talk yesterday, and I just realized, man, I'm going to be sitting here for the next, probably throughout the summer watching these talks, because I got to see a few. Like when I was volunteering, I was volunteering on Sunday morning, and I got to see a few because I was managing the door, which was great. One was on the history of LSD. I think her name was Erica Dick, I believe, Dyck. And that was really interesting. She was saying that I think they're going to put out like an 800-page document on the correspondence of Huxley and Humphrey Osmond. So that should be
about that.
That should be really interesting. So her talk was really cool. It was kind of going into like the history of like the meaning of psychedelic and kind of where this stuff started beginning, and the research that was happening up in Saskatchewan, up in Canada, and with Humphrey Osmond. And so that was cool. And then I got to sit in on Raven Ray's talk on, her project with the Aftercare project and her new project, which she's doing with Tim Cool's, the Psychedelic Experience.
He's a great guy. I don't know if you got to chat with him much.
I got to chat with him a little bit. Yeah.
I feel like he's my new best friend. All the way in Brussels. Yeah, great guy. Yeah. And that's a cool project, man. I connected him with a couple tech guys.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, the concept of the psychedelic experience is also very similar to this project called The Drug Story. And it's just a way of standardizing data sets so you can run numbers on it. So like, dosage, body weight, gender, age, all that kind of stuff, experience, and what the experience was like. So you could, data mine it for keywords, stuff like that. Really interesting guy and project. And I'm hoping he can partner with The Drug Story so they can kind of share that larger data set.
And I was just on that site last night, I think, just kind of checking it out.
Which one? Tim's?
Because I saw somebody make a comment about like Erowid, how it might be a little bit different, but maybe doing the same thing.
Exactly. There's a lot of overlap. I actually got to talk to Fire Erowid about it, and she was saying she wishes them well, but the major hurdle will be accurate data gathering, because people may just pick grams instead of milligrams right. instead of micrograms, and often people just don't know. So we can't make the mistake of this stuff being totally accurate, but hopefully with some sort of margin of error we can get some known error rate, but actually get some real data out of it. One of the most interesting parts was Fire was saying she was just doing 3 hours of kind of like looking at her data, like server stats, and made a little report. Took her 3 hours, emailed it to some researchers, and they made a paper out of 3 hours of her work and got published. Yeah, and she was just blown away that was happening. So what happens when all of that is exposed? So researchers have total access to that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be an awesome database for researchers, I believe. Some other person actually reached out to us a while ago and said they did a phenomenological study on psilocybin experiences from the Erowid database. So, yeah.
Was that Kevin?
This guy, Justin.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So, yeah, it'd be a great resource for people like wanting to study like the subjective experiences of the psychedelic.
Absolutely. So I think you had a similar experience to me other than having to volunteer a bunch, but like some of the major value is just the conversations you have in the hallway.
Yeah.
It was really great to meet up with people like Cherie. Who else? We get to meet Leah, the psychedologist.
Yeah. Who's from Ben, the Boston Entheogenic Network.
Yeah, we spent a bunch of time with it. It was really fun. Great person. If you guys get the chance to go out to some events with her, or maybe even get involved with some client-patient work with her as an integrator. Where is she out of? Lowell, Massachusetts?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. Town I was born in. Lovely place. Yeah. And who else? I got to meet the people from Zendo, both Sarah Gale and Ryan Beauregard. It's really fun. They're both in Boulder. I'm going to be connecting with them and probably doing some in-person interviews. Maybe we can do some projects with them, larger projects.
Cool.
Shane LeMaster, who is there, connected a little bit with medicinal mindfulness, maybe. But he's out of Fort Collins doing kind of veteran work and addiction work. Really excited to talk to him about, his perspectives on psychedelics and addiction. And Fort Collins is in Colorado, for those who don't know. One organization I really wanted to connect with was this Iboga Safe. I didn't get to meet Jamie. I don't know if Jamie's a lady or a guy, but Jamie McAlpern, registered nurse with a BSN, so I think that's Bachelor in Science in Nursing, co-director of Iboga Safe, and actually offer on-site Iboga provider training. So if you're doing Iboga therapy, they'll actually come to your facility and give you some training on safety about how to do it with people, which is a really neat, very niche offering, because a lot of people running Iboga centers do not have medical backgrounds, and why not cover yourself a little bit with that kind of thing?
Which seems really important for that one.
Yeah. And I can't wait to talk to Jamie about that. That was one of the first business cards I actually picked up, and it was one of the more impressive ones.
Cool. So what would you say, what was the main highlight for you over the weekend?
Living here in isolation in Breckenridge, Colorado, which you might not think is isolating, but it's high up in the mountains and far away from civilization, is, as beautiful as it is, there's a lack of people to connect with on this subject here in person. And being able to speak authentically, connect authentically with people about the subject and get into some substantial depth was really valuable. Connecting with Ed Liu from Psychedelic Milk in Hong Kong was really nice. We spent a lot of time together and got to know him a bunch. That was really nice, because the Trump stuff we talked about on our show with him was a little polarizing, and I was glad to just be able to connect with him on that. Connecting with Paul Austin was great. Connecting with Daniel McQueen was awesome. Got to spend a lot of time with him. And people from all over that I would never really run into. Tim Cools, for instance, I had such a great time talking to him about different psychedelic experiences, different stories we've heard, and the path forward, because he was a software engineer that said, okay, I have this skill set. How can I apply this skill set to the psychedelic world to support it? And he spent the last number of months building that project, Psychedelic Experience.
Wow, that's really cool, because people are always asking how to get involved, even if they don't have a psychotherapy background.
Take your skill set and just do it. What's your skill set? Help people out.
Yeah.
We always need logos. We always need legal protection.
I think we even came across that when we were designing our new logo. It's we had all these artists on 99 Design, but I don't think any of them had a psychedelic background, and some of them just did some really cliche stuff. But so different ways to get involved. For me, I think it was awesome. I was volunteering. This is the largest psychedelic conference supposedly in history. I think they sold over 28,000 tickets. 2,800. Yeah, not 28,000. Sorry.
That would be a different deal.
Yeah. My brain's a little scrambled from being sick.
No worries.
So it was really cool just to kind of be part of that and meet the community and just see so many awesome people come together to share their presentations. And but I think the highlight for me was actually connecting and building community and just getting to know people, some of the folks on the show. It was great to hang out with Daniel and, meet new faces. And especially some of the younger folks that are really passionate about how to get involved. I found myself just talking to not a lot of professionals, but just regular folks that are just interested in this stuff. And it was just really cool to connect with them because, this was their first psychedelic conference and they're wondering how to get involved with everything. And, that was part of the reason why they were there, was to try and figure out how to get involved. And Yeah, it was weird. Like I thought I was when I went in 2013, I think I went to almost every talk that I wanted to go to, and it was great. And I met a lot of great people back then, and I actually got to. This one was almost kind of like a reunion where I met some folks back then, and then again this year. But yeah, I think the main thing for me was I ended up just hanging out in the hallways and over at the Symposia stage in the marketplace and just chatting with people. And I was conflicted because I wanted to sit there and see a lot more presentations than I probably should have. But there was also the sense of like, well, this is the only time like I get to like meet people like this, living out where I live, there's not too many people to have these conversations with. And I just found myself so lost in the moment, just connecting with folks. And for me, that was great. And I think since MAPS was live streaming and they're putting everything up on YouTube, that was kind of more of a reason to, hey, I can watch this stuff later. But then it's also kind of like a regret of mine where it was like, Nick Sand just died, and I think he was at the conference. And I don't know if he was giving a talk, but, after that happened, I was like, man, like that could have been the one time I could have seen him actually speak in person. And so I think, yeah, it's a balance between staying in the moment and then like being like, well, there's technology, like we can just watch it later. And I didn't know, I saw somebody post something that he was there, and I was just like, man, like that would have been great to meet him. But I was just caught up in conversations with people. So
yeah, I just had a memory. So that after party of the decompression or integration party, after a while, I just started like overheating. It was super hot in there. I did not do any drugs. It was just hot. And I sat down like the chill out area to hang out, and just met two super young kids, one from Santa Cruz, one from San Fran, and just talking to them about their interest in the field was super fascinating, really interesting, about how they might want to approach their future career interactions with the field. It was heartening to see some kids, probably 21, 22 years old, approaching this stuff that way. It was really neat. And actually, here's another thing. Connecting with Fawn Rousseau in person was super good. He's such a great guy. Past guest, running Indiva Biomedical in Montreal, Quebec. And such a great guy, super smart, incredibly well-versed on neurochemistry, biology, plant life. And if there is one younger person that's like way up on the neurochemistry of this stuff and how it operates, it's him. And like leaps and bounds beyond where I understand psychedelics on the chemical neuro interaction level. Super fascinating chats with him, very encouraging. I love seeing what he's up to. And, really look forward to getting to hang out with him again in the future, and either in Toronto, Montreal, or if ever I can show him around Colorado to the dispensaries and gardens I know of. That would be really neat too. Yeah, it's just like deepening friendships, man. Like getting time to spend with you when we're not running a workshop was really good too. Like, right. The only other time we got to meet was at that workshop in Vermont, and it was like, high effort, right, and not really all that much time to chill. So it was good, really kind of, not being just on the other end of Skype with you. Right. Yeah. In person. And yeah, hopefully we get to do more in-person stuff. Yeah, absolutely. As time goes on. Definitely planning on going to Horizons this year, in October, New York. Hopefully you can make it too. What might be neat is talking to the Symposia guys about breathwork before or after. That might be really neat to do that, in or just outside the city. Yeah. Yeah, like a little workshop or something. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Cool, man. We're at about a half an hour. Anything else you want to throw in here?
Well, I was going to mention too, since we have been working on this integration class for a while, I did meet somebody during this integration lunch that I was part of on Friday, and I don't remember his name, but I think he was out at Johns Hopkins, and I want to get him on the show at some point. But he was talking about his PhD thesis is on like blueprints for integration. So he's working on this like map of like how to integrate these psychedelic experiences. So that's really cool. I want to give. I don't remember his name. I want to say it was like Toss.
Yeah. He's English. He's I got his email. I've connected with him a little bit.
Okay, cool.
So. Yeah, we talked a little bit about his discussion on trickster pedagogy a little bit. And he got the chance to check out the episode we did with Ed Liu calling it trickster stuff. And he disagreed with what we were calling trickster actually being trickster. So I would like to get him on to connect with him about that. So yeah, he worked with Catherine. He knows Catherine McLean pretty well. Did some time facilitating sessions at Hopkins with psilocybin, and also I think he teaches classes now at NYU on psychedelics, which is really cool. And he said he might be moving to London soon, which a real globetrotter.
Cool.
But yeah, I'll reach out to him again with an interview request. Maybe I'll send it from our email address there. Yeah, cool. Super smart guy. I had a great time talking to him.
Yeah. Yeah, but overall, I mean, it was a great weekend and really grateful to be part of it and grateful to volunteer for MAPS. And yeah, I mean, I'm just overwhelmed. I mean, I ran myself down by talking to so many people and just staying up, like waking up early, staying up late, and the travel definitely kind of took it out of me. But, you know, don't regret it. Thought it was an amazing time.
Yeah. Quick thank you to Dr. Matt Brown from Chicago. Really appreciate you taking me around and introducing me to a lot of your Chicago contingent. It was really, really nice to be able to connect with a whole new city with people I've never really connected with before. So thanks, Matt, and we'll get you on the show for sure, and keep us posted on this conference you've got coming up in September. What is it? I don't know. I think it was summer 2018 in Chicago. But cool. Yeah, more as that develops. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I really appreciated everything too. Everybody that made it a great time, thank you. Thank you for being you at the conference. It was awesome.
And if you didn't check it out or you couldn't make it, go to MAPS, their YouTube channel, and I think they don't have them all up yet, but they do have, I think, over 50 episodes up right now, or 20 episodes. So start checking them out, and yeah, let us know what you think. And I'm definitely going to be chewing through some of it over the next few weeks as school wraps up and I have more free time.
Cool. Yeah. So thank you everybody for checking out this episode of Psychedelics Today, the Psychedelic Science Recap 2017 edition. Stay in touch with us. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you're sneaky enough, you can find me on Snapchat. You can also stay in touch with us on our email list, which you can find at psychedelicstoday.com on the top bar. There's a little subscribe to our email list button there. So thanks again for tuning in, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.